It was a cloudy Thursday afternoon when I picked up my daughter, Juniper, from school and brought her home to our cozy apartment in Willow Creek. The moment we stepped through the door, a shiver of unease crept up my spine. Something felt off, sharp and subtle, like a crack in a mirror you don't notice until the light hits it just right. Next to the shoe rack, alongside my husband Theo's polished leather loafers, sat a pair of elegant women's heels, sleek, black, and unmistakably expensive. A faint fragrance lingered in the air, a sophisticated blend of floral and musk that I couldn't quite place. It wasn't cheap perfume, that much I could tell, and it certainly wasn't mine. Juniper, oblivious to the tension coiling in my chest, kicked off her sneakers and bolted inside, shouting, "Daddy," with the unbridled joy only a 5-year-old could muster. "Is this your daughter?" A soft, melodic voice floated from the living room, and my blood turned to ice. That voice, it was etched into my memory like a scar that never fades. My body stiffened, every nerve taut as a bowstring. I'd know it anywhere. Over a decade ago, I'd heard it through Theo's phone as she left him, her words drifting through the static like a bittersweet melody. "Let's leave it here, Theo. Lovers don't always stay together. Maybe we'll meet again someday." Her tone had been gentle, like a spring breeze laced with frost, and it was the first time I'd seen Theo, my stoic, unshakable Theo, break down, sobbing like a lost child. How could I forget her voice? It haunted me still. Juniper's footsteps echoed as she bounded toward the sound, and I forced myself to move, hastily smoothing my hair and pasting on a smile I didn't feel pregnant with. Our second child, I'd traded bold makeup for simple creams, but I'd always prided myself on holding my own, until now. As I rounded the corner into the living room, I saw Theo sitting rigidly on the 3-seater couch, Juniper clambering into his lap. Across from him, on the single armchair, was a woman with her back to me. Her white dress hugged her slim frame, and her long, wavy black hair cascaded over her shoulders like ink spilling across a page, a mermaid emerging from the depths. Theo's eyes met mine, a flicker of something unreadable passing through them. "You're back," he said, his voice steady but strained. I nodded, my gaze sliding to the woman as she turned her head. And in that moment, I knew I'd lost before the fight even began. She was breathtaking. Her white dress glowed against her porcelain skin, her sea-dark hair framing a face that could have been sculpted by an artist, delicate brows arching over almond eyes, lips soft and rosy. This was Lyra Voss, the woman who'd owned Theo's heart through his youth, his untouchable first love. I, with my swollen belly and tired eyes, was the wife who'd come after, the practical, grounded contrast to her radiant starlight. Swallowing the lump in my throat, I forced a smile. "Theo, aren't you going to introduce us?" He sighed softly, rising to stand beside me. "This is my wife, Mara Ellis," he said, addressing her rather than me. Lyra stood gracefully, her eyes briefly dipping to my pregnant belly before she extended a hand, her smile warm yet regal. "Hi, Mara. I'm Lyra Voss, an old friend of Theo's. It's lovely to meet you." I shook her hand, her grip light but firm. "I've heard so much about you," I said, my voice tighter than I'd intended. She laughed, a sound like wind chimes, and glanced at Theo. "Oh, what have you been saying about me?" Theo offered a sheepish smile but didn't answer. The air grew thick, and Lyra checked her watch, her expression softening with apology. "It's getting late. I didn't mean to intrude. I've got some things to take care of, so I'll head out." Relief washed over me, though it was short-lived. Theo exhaled as if he'd been holding his breath. "I'll walk you out," he said quickly. Juniper, still perched on the couch, waved her tiny hand. "Bye, lady." The room froze. Theo corrected her gently, "Call her Aunt Lyra." "Bye, Aunt Lyra," Juniper mumbled, shrinking back. I forced another smile, though my face felt like it might crack. Lyra left, her heels clicking faintly down the hall, but I barely registered her departure. My mind was spinning, a storm of questions I couldn't voice. "Next time, give me a heads up, okay?" Theo murmured to Juniper, sending her off to play with her toys. Then he turned to me as I stood rooted to the spot. What's wrong? I shook my head, avoiding his gaze. Why's she back? Theo, ever calm and collected, faltered for a moment, a rare crack in his composure. Her family's in trouble. She came to me because I might be the only one who can help. His words were simple, factual, but they sliced through me. He had to help her? My chest tightened, jealousy and fear twisting into a bitter knot. You're going to help her? I pressed, my voice sharp. I'm thinking about it, he said, brushing past me to sit on the couch. It's complicated. Pulling strings for her could cost me my career, my connections. It's a big risk. He rattled off a few vague explanations, factions at work, favors owed, consequences I only half understood. What I did grasp was clear. Lyra needed someone powerful, someone Theo knew, and helping her could derail the steady climb he'd built for us. I snapped, "You can't do this." He glanced at me, and I faltered, backtracking. I mean, I'm not saying don't help her, but it's too much. Let's talk about it later, he said, patting the couch beside him. You're pregnant and standing there like that. Aren't you tired? Sit. His deflection stung, but I sank onto the cushion, restless and unsettled. Lyra's return had shattered the fragile piece of my simple, happy life, and I couldn't shake the dread creeping in. The next day, I dragged my college bestie, Quinn Harper, out for tea at a quaint cafe downtown. I needed to vent, and Quinn, blunt, loyal Quinn, was the perfect sounding board. She's back? Quinn nearly leapt from her chair the moment I spilled the news, her hazel eyes wide with disbelief. I'd kept Lyra's ghost buried in front of Theo, but with Quinn, I'd always been an open book. Tell me everything, she demanded then. Waved a hand. Wait, don't bother. She's gorgeous, right? The woman who owned Theo's soul for years? Of course she is. Dumb question. I nodded glumly. She's back, and I'm terrified my marriage is over. Quinn paused, then nodded sagely. Yeah, I'd bet on divorce payouts if I were you. I kicked her under the table, scowling. I called you here for comfort, not to kick me while I'm down. Easy, easy. Quinn laughed, raising her hands. You're due in a few months, chill out. I'd love to say Theo's not the type to waver, but it's Lyra. No pep talk can compete with that. She was right, and I hated it. Theo and Lyra's history was a legend I couldn't escape. They'd been childhood sweethearts, inseparable since elementary school. By middle school, Theo, poor, scrappy, and smitten, had worked up the nerve to confess. He'd stormed the school's broadcast room during orientation, declaring his love. Over the intercom. Lyra, poised and popular, had said yes right then and there, sparking cheers and chaos. Theo took a few lumps from the principal for that stunt, but he wore them like badges of honor, grinning as he kissed her forehead. Their teenage romance was the stuff of small-town lore, defiant, passionate, unstoppable. Teachers tried to split them up, but they were a force of nature. Lyra came from money, her parents local tycoons who dressed her in designer labels while Theo scraped by, sometimes barefoot when his only pair of shoes got soaked. He didn't care, thought it made him cool, even started a trend until everyone realized he just couldn't afford new ones. Lyra's parents despised him. They stormed his house once, hurling insults at his widowed mother, a half-blind woman who'd raised him picking through trash after his dad died in a crash. Theo stood his ground, fierce and unyielding, refusing to let Lyra go. Her folks relented eventually, worn down by her pleas, but the truce was fragile. In high school, her family's business took off, and they dragged her overseas, tearing the two apart. Her final call to Theo, made from my phone, the only one in our class, had been a cold goodbye. Lovers don't always stay together. See you someday. That was over a decade ago. Until now. Back at the cafe, Quinn wiped a tear, clutching her cheeks. It's like a damn romance novel. Childhood soulmates ripped apart? You're the evil stepwife in this plot, Mara. Evil stepwife with 2 kids from the hero? That's a twist even novels wouldn't dare, I shot back, patting my belly for reassurance. Keep going, Quinn urged, leaning in. I've never heard the full saga. In high school, Theo had been a lovesick shadow, fetching Lyra breakfast, fighting punks who hassled her, working odd jobs to buy her a necklace she'd adored. When she fell ill once, needing surgery, he'd race to the hospital, begging to donate whatever she needed, even if it killed him. Her parents softened then, letting their love story bloom into a local fairy tale until her family whisked her away. She left, and he was a wreck, I told Quinn. I met him after that when he borrowed my phone for that last call. He pulled himself together senior year, studied like a madman, like he wanted to become someone worthy of her. Quinn sighed. And then you swooped in? Sort of, I admitted. We got close in college. One drunken night at a reunion, we hooked up. I got pregnant with Juniper, he stepped up, and here we are. Quinn leaned back, exhaling. I'll grill him for you. Find out what he's planning with Lyra. You've carried this not too long. We're not letting it end in divorce without a fight. I grinned, relieved. That's why I'd called her. Days later, Lyra returned, this time to our home. Theo dropped the bombshell casually over breakfast. She's coming by today. My heart lurched. I wanted to scream, why here? But he added, she wanted to meet somewhere else, but I figured home was better. Better for who? I plastered on a weak smile and retreated to our room, claiming fatigue. In truth, I hid in the bathroom off the living room, door cracked, spying like a paranoid teenager. Lyra arrived, her voice lilting through the walls. Mara's not here? She's resting, Theo lied smoothly. They talked, her pleading, him deflecting. I can't help you, Lyra. You know the stakes, he said. I wouldn't ask if it weren't everything to me, she countered, voice trembling. I've waited years to come back, Theo. I never married. I looked for you once, but you'd moved on. My breath hitched. She'd come back for him before? I have a family now, Theo replied, firm but heavy. My wife's pregnant. The past is done. Lyra sniffled, crying, and asked to use the bathroom. I panicked, nearly tumbling over the sink as Theo redirected her to the bedroom one. When she was gone, I emerged, pale and shaky. You should have stayed in bed, Theo said, steadying me. Then she'd have seen me. I blurted. He smirked. Pregnancy's frying your brain. I didn't argue. For years, I'd wondered if he loved me, or if Lyra's shadow still ruled his heart. That night we'd conceived Juniper, he'd whispered my name, soft and broken. I'd kissed him, hoping it meant something. Now, I wasn't sure. That weekend, with Juniper at my parents' and a cleaning crew scrubbing the apartment, I found it, a box from Theo's study, stuffed with Lyra's. Relics, pens, notebooks, a water cup. A silver necklace gleamed inside, engraved with LV and TJ. Her gift from him, kept all these years. When Theo came home, exhausted, I confronted him, tossing the necklace at his feet. You're still in love with her. What the hell, Mara? He snapped. That's ancient history. Then why keep this? I shouted, tears streaming. Help her if you want. I'm done. Let's divorce. He stared, stunned, then grabbed a notebook from Juniper's bag, scrawling a mock agreement. Fine. Here's your divorce. He stormed out, leaving me sobbing on the couch, clutching my belly. Hours later, Quinn burst in. Theo had called her to cheer me up. She didn't pry, just stayed, her presence a balm. Love might have slipped away, but I still had her, my daughter, my unborn child. Maybe that was enough. As for Theo and me, maybe it was over long before Lyra returned. Another day began with a groggy haze. I woke to an empty bed, my hand brushing across the sheets, cold, untouched. I sighed. Theo had been gone for days, yet the hollow space beside me still felt foreign, a quiet ache I couldn't shake. A sharp knock rattled the door, followed by Quinn's brassy voice. The sun's up, lazybones. Get out here for breakfast. I shuffled over to let her in. Quinn stormed past me, apron tied crookedly, her face scrunched in mock indignation. I slaved away making you breakfast at the crack of dawn, and you're moping around like a wet mop? Give me a smile, woman. She grabbed my cheeks, tugging them into a doughy mess until I swatted her away, half laughing, half cursing. We bickered our way to the bathroom, where I splashed water on my face until a crisp knock at the front door cut through our chaos. Quinn waved me off. Sit. I've got it. She darted over, leaving me perched on the couch. Then, silence. Quinn, who is it? I called, a prickle of unease creeping up my neck. Mara, it's me. Lyra's voice drifted through the doorway, soft and unmistakable. My stomach dropped. I wiped my face hastily, forcing a smile as she stepped inside, every inch of her radiating elegance. She wore a chic French-style dress that hugged her curves, her dark hair tumbling in waves. Quinn trailed behind, apron askew, looking like a frazzled assistant. I avoided my reflection in the TV screen, dull, round, unkempt, but it loomed anyway, mocking me. I wasn't even fit to play the help. Swallowing the urge to bolt, I gestured Lyra to the couch. Sit. Quinn, could you grab her some tea? Quinn muttered something, probably marveling at Lyra's beauty or questioning her presence, but shot me a knowing look before slipping into the kitchen. The room fell quiet, thick with unspoken tension, until Lyra spoke. Mara, I heard from Theo that you two are having some trouble. A sour pang twisted in my chest. Of course you'd know, I thought bitterly. Theo probably whispered it to you over pillow talk, laughing about his frumpy wife while you glow in his eyes. I nearly blurted it aloud, but bit my tongue. I don't know if I'm the reason things got rocky, Lyra continued, her voice earnest as she took my hand, but I swear, Theo and I are done. The past is the past. He has a family now, your kids. I'd never ruin that. I only came to him because I had no choice. My family's in deep trouble, and he's the only one who could help. But if my being here has hurt you too, I'd never forgive myself. Her sincerity was disarming. I managed a dry laugh, nodding. Sure. My skepticism must have shown, because Lyra pressed on, urgency creeping in. I visited before, when you weren't home. I'll admit, I tried leaning on old feelings to sway him. But do you know what he said? I knew exactly what he'd said. I'd overheard it, but I feigned curiosity. What? He said he loves you, Mara. That you've slowly taken my place in his life, bit by bit. I'm just a memory. You're his future. Her voice trembled with emotion. He's not good at showing it, but he adores you. If I hadn't been there that day, her words might have soothed me. But I'd heard Theo's real response, cool, final, not this romantic rewrite. Lyra was lying, spinning a tale to spare me pain. She was kinder than I'd ever be in her shoes. Theo was lucky to have had her once. I forced a smile. That's nice. Lyra sighed, resigned. I've said what I came to say. Relationships are a hard one. Don't let this slip away. Her wistful beauty stirred pity in me, despite everything. I flipped the script, comforting her. Don't worry about me. Theo and I are divorcing. Once it's done, you're free. I don't blame you for this. It's just bad timing. No guilt, okay? Her eyes widened, disbelief flashing across her face. I dug out the necklace, the one Theo had bought her years ago, now cracked from my tantrum, and handed it over sheepishly. This is yours, right? Lyra stared at it, lost in thought. I forced a chuckle. Theo kept it pristine. I'm the one who smashed it. Sorry. She didn't respond. Then I noticed the damp spots blooming on her skirt. She was crying. Panicked, I thrust tissues at her. Don't cry. I'm terrible with tears. She wiped her eyes, lifting her head. Even red-rimmed, she was stunning, her shock mingling with a flicker of joy. She still loved him, more than I ever could, perhaps. She'd waited years. This was for the best. As she left, Lyra hugged me, her voice breaking. Mara, your name fits you perfectly. You have a warm heart. Maybe Quinn sensed my slump, because she got a doctor's note for a month-long, spontaneous trip to Yunnan. Snow-capped mountains, sprawling meadows, terraced fields. Rainforests, lakes, and rivers, Dali, Lijiang, ancient towns with winding streams. The vibrant south of the clouds lifted my spirits, a balm for my bruised soul. But every selfie Quinn and I pouting at the camera stirred a pang. I'd imagined Theo across from us, grumbling about us blocking his scenic shots, shooing us off with that dry, steady tone. We'd grumble back, stomping away. Those days felt so distant now. Flour cakes, clay pot chicken, wild mushroom feasts, chungong pears, dianchi duck, three-course tea, live-boiled fish, irai seaweed, minced pork bait, roasted bait blocks, midu pork rolls. Butter tea, green prickly fruit, barley wine, bamboo shoots and eggs, bamboo rice, tianma stewed chicken, xianwei ham, jiangchuan triple dish, bean candy, Yunnan red tea, Nujiang fish. Quinn rattled off our culinary conquests from the next bed in our twin room, ticking them off on her fingers. My stomach growled traitorously. See? Minus the barley wine you can't have. I've fed you everything, she crowed, pinching my cheek. Look at this face, chubby and lovable now. Who wouldn't adore you? I swatted her away, a flicker of sadness surfacing. Theo hadn't tasted a single dish. You idiot, Quinn sighed. Mara Ellis, I've known you forever. You're a firecracker, bold, reckless. But with Theo, you turn into this timid, wishy-washy mess. Why? I mumbled a protest, but she barreled on. Don't expect me to baby you just because you're pregnant. Remember that guy in college who chased me? Glasses, handsome, loaded. I nodded. He'd been a catch, suave, attentive, showering Quinn with roses. Our dorm had buzzed when he confessed. They'd fallen hard until his wife stormed. Our lecture hall, toddler in tow, yanking Quinn's hair and screaming. Turns out he'd been married all along. His poor wife was a victim, but so was Quinn. Everyone called me a homewrecker, Quinn said, staring into the distance. You stood by me, cursed out every gossip, slapped that jerk when he dared show his face. I was a wreck, ready to end it, and you dragged me back, yelling that no two-legged creep was worth my dignity. You saved me. She'd wanted to light a cigarette, but stopped remembering me. Nibbling her nail, she added, I thought, damn, Mara's a force. She's my light in the dark. Now it's my turn to pull you out. Theo's a good guy, but he's not your only path. I'll always be here, no matter what. Her voice faltered oddly, but I was too moved to notice, hugging her tight. Oh, and this trip cost me 30 grand, she added slyly. Reimburse me? Friendship's boat capsized in an instant. We flew back to Beijing that night. Exhaustion hit me hard, my belly aching ominously. Having birthed Juniper, I knew the signs. I rushed Quinn to the hospital. The doctor said it was just fatigue. My due date was a month away, but urged caution. I stayed overnight, returning home the next day. Quinn's pep talks had lightened me, but the dusty, silent apartment sobered me up. Theo hadn't been back in ages. Quinn left for work, and with Juniper thriving at Grandma's, I was alone. I called Theo's mom, Hazel, to say I was home. Soon, Hazel bustled in with groceries, her one good eye, lost to a crash years ago, twinkling despite it. She set fish to simmer and sat with me as I peeled apples. Juniper's at school? I asked. Yep, Hazel grinned. Her teacher says she's sharper lately. Just like her dad, lazy until it counts. I chuckled. Theo had coasted through school, acing exams with last-minute grit. Hazel's gaze softened. You're looking worn, Mara. Theo's jobless now, but he's grounded. We've got enough. Don't let it weigh you down. Talk to me if you're upset. Stress isn't good for you or the baby. I nodded, then froze. Wait, jobless. You didn't know? Hazel blinked, then sighed under my prodding. That girl he loved as a kid came back. Her family's in a mess, and Theo helped her. Cost him his job. He got fired days ago. I thought he told you. The air thickened. Hazel gripped my hand, pained. That stubborn boy. I warned him she wasn't his kind, but he climbed anyway, chasing her world. When he married you, I was thrilled. You're my kind of gal, sweet and strong. I thought he'd settle. Now she's back, and I failed to raise him right. I smiled weakly. Don't blame yourself. He's loyal, just not to me. I confessed our divorce agreement. Hazel's face cycled through shock and sorrow before settling. You always put others first, she said. Whatever happens, you're my daughter now. Drink your fish soup, all of it. Tears pricked as I watched her cook. Hazel had been my rock for a decade, gentler than my own mom, who joked she'd been outdone. Could I really hand her over to Lyra too? That night, sleep eluded me. Hazel had left after lunch, and the empty house pressed down. Theo had truly sacrificed his job for Lyra. At his age, with a family to support, he'd chosen her. What was left to doubt? Drifting into a fitful slumber, I jolted awake at midnight, a searing pain ripping through me. Not my period, I was pregnant. I lifted the covers, trembling. My water had broken. Fumbling, I called Quinn, no answer. Theo's line rang dead too. Pain overwhelmed me, phone slipping as I groaned, sweat-soaked and fading. Then, faintly, the door creaked open. A figure scooped me up, rushing me out. I gave birth a smooth delivery, a chubby boy with pudgy cheeks and limbs. The nurse whisked him away after one glance, wheeling me from the OR. Outside, my mom and Hazel sobbed in stereo, outdoing each other. Dad, Quinn, Theo, even Lyra were there too. They swarmed me, ignoring the baby, fussing over my state. I pointed feebly at my son, urging them to check him, but really, Lyra's presence unnerved me. I looked a wreck. In my private room, I finally breathed. Theo tended to me, water, a warm towel, then sat, holding my cold hand. Still hurting? I shook my head, tugging away as Lyra lingered. He gripped tighter, turning to her. Explain. Lyra exhaled, sitting at my feet, tucking my blanket. Mara, you're incredible. Seeing Theo with someone like you, I've no reason to interfere. She smiled wryly, avoiding his gaze. Her family was safe, thanks to Theo's efforts. She thought the necklace meant lingering love and my willingness to step aside had sparked hope. But Theo had shut it down. It was a forgotten relic, boxed up years ago, not a treasure. Helping her wasn't about romance, it was a chance. His job had drained him, endless hours, rising stakes, a body breaking down. Quitting wouldn't pay, getting fired did, with a fat severance. Lyra's plea was his exit. Strategy doubled with a windfall. My meltdown nearly derailed it, but he pressed on, knowing Lyra's shadow loomed over me. He'd played dumb, waiting for a reckoning. Lyra pulled out the necklace repaired, gleaming, and tossed it in the trash with a laugh. I yelped, "Don't. It's worth thousands." Theo grinned, handing me a document. "Miss CEO, I'm unemployed. You're feeding me now, unless you'd hire me as company security." It was a business registration in my name, focused on design, my passion. The name, Mara Sunshine. I laughed. That's so cheesy. Call it what you want, he said, eyes warm. For once, I saw it, he loved me. Lyra hugged me goodbye. Be happy, Mara. I'm off to find mine. Her exit was quiet, smiling or crying, I couldn't tell. But her blessing felt real. I sank into the pillows, grinning at Theo. He smirked. Yunnan fattened you up. Quinn fed you well. You knew. I gaped. Of course. I funded it, her time off too. You think that cheapskate would shell out 30 grand? I'd paid Quinn 20 grand already. Theo laughed when I told him we'd both been had. She'd earned it, though, playing his ally after confronting him. It was all a grand ruse. I punched him playfully. You signed that divorce paper fast. Planning this all along. Tore it up before your trip, he said. Set up a camera here, lived next door. I couldn't miss you breaking. I shivered, recalling that night. Hesitant, I asked Theo, are you really over Lyra? He dodged, countering, remember Woolene Chronicles? Our rare shared show. I nodded, puzzled. I'm by Jean Time, he said. Settled, retired, But no one believed it. They thought he'd steal again. So he faked it, let them doubt, then proved he'd changed. If I didn't let you think Lyra still had me, you'd never trust me. I'd rather unravel it all than let that fester. I love you, Mara. Not just duty, but truly. His words, corny, raw, flushed my cheeks. I deflected. Enough mush. Did you name the baby? Theo's gaze pierced me. Yeah. Theo Grayson Ellis. Gray, for short. And